Franco Colapinto is now heavily related to a seat for 2025, even though there are few seats available. However, with how the situation has developed in Red Bull and Racing Bulls, the Sauber might not be the only available seat for the Argentinian driver. After outperforming Albon for the second consecutive weekend while scoring points in Austin, Colapinto is now drawing more and more attention, and Red Bull would be smart to look out for further developments with this superstar of a driver. With this in mind, should Red Bull keep this option open for their future, given that Lawson has also shown massive potential in his first race, and how would this reflect on Tsunoda's future with the team? It goes without saying that Red Bull is now in a very difficult situation when it comes to the 2025 lineup, because Perez has not only cost them the P1 in the Constructors' Championship, but is the main reason why Ferrari is just 8 points behind the Austrian team as well. On the other hand, Lawson has done exactly what was requested from him on the debut, even though he started P19 on the grid, scoring 2 points while his teammate Tsunoda was outside of the top 10, proving to Red Bull that he is indeed a good contender for the Austrian team's seat from 2025 onwards. Be that as it may, Red Bull have never shied away from looking towards the bigger picture, and in this situation, Colapinto might be the driver they are looking for to replace whoever is going to be promoted to Red Bull, if such a promotion is to happen. When talking about this, helmet Marko was full of praise for the young Argentinian driver, who is so far looking to be linked with Sauber only. At least that was the story before the Austin GP finished the way it did. The veteran Austrian has given a lot of positive words for how mature Colapinto has looked in such a short amount of racing, outperforming his teammate on multiple occasions and scoring 4 points in Baku, as well as a very important point in Austin, which would have been 2 had Ocon not taken the fastest lap in the ending stages of the race. Furthermore, Marko said Colapinto is with the Williams team. He will definitely be someone we are going to pay close attention to in the future. What he showed was very, very good. I cited that as an example. But make no mistake, this wouldn't be an obstacle for Williams, because James Vowles has admitted that he has no problem in looking for another seat outside of his team for Colapinto, even if it means that the Argentinian driver will effectively take points away from them from 2025 onwards. Furthermore, the team principal of Williams said Colapinto being part of Sauber or Racing Bulls is definitely not out of the question. It's more down to 1 or 2 other teams, not giving it away too much, but from my perspective, he absolutely has earned his place on the grid within a few races. He hasn't finished growing, he's going to get quicker and quicker, and I think other teams know that on the grid. So even if he is taking points away from us, he is a professional racing driver and should be racing in Formula 1. Simple as that. Red Bull will definitely need to pay a lot of attention to this statement, because they do have an opportunity of their lifetime. Sign an academy driver from another team who has proven to be the real deal in Williams in such a short tenure, and avoid the risk of testing their own drivers, who, while should be on the grid, are always a big question mark in terms of tenacity and having the killer mentality to be in an F1 car. Keep in mind that Racing Bulls is a team that is slowly but surely returning back to its roots, having young drivers performing for them, unlike what their method was up until the Singapore GP, where Ricciardo was in one of the seats. Now that it's obvious the Aussie won't make a return to the sport as a full-time driver in their camp, Red Bull have a lot on their plate to fix, and the number one priority would be to fix the lineup in the senior team, because they cannot afford to have such a great gap between the leader and the second driver, P1 to P8. If Red Bull drops to 3rd in the Constructors' Championship and Verstappen gets to win the championship, which is more and more likely to happen after the Austin GP, then it would be the second time that a driver has won the Drivers' Championship while his team finished P3 in the Constructors' Championship after Nelson Piquet in 1973. This is a massive indicator that the second seat in Red Bull is all but safe, and whether we like it or not, Perez time might be over. He started the race in a solid manner, but still managed to finish behind Russell, who started the race from the pit lane. And had Hamilton not spun out at the second lap of the race, it would have been a big question as to whether or not Perez would have been ahead of him as well. Helmut Marko has also stated that while contracts do exist in the sport, in certain situations like the one Perez is currently in, they are worthless because most of them are tied with performance of the driver or the car. Similar to Perez, Verstappen has a performance clause in his contract that is related to the performance of the car, while with Perez we all know what his common goal is, and with every race we are seeing that he is straying away further from his teammate in the Drivers' Championship. This will be a huge flaw entering 2025 because we see that every other top team has two drivers who can finish high in the points, and who would have thought that Ferrari would be just 8 points behind Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship with 5 races and 2 sprint events left in 2024. When talking about Perez and his tenure in the sport, Marko said, "Perez has a contract, but Formula One is a meritocracy. If the performance is not right, even contracts are of no use. At the end of the season, we will sit down and then decide who is the best teammate for Red Bull for Verstappen." And I know what all of you are thinking. Where is Tsunoda in this entire situation? The man has outperformed 2 drivers in the past 2 years in the same car, De Vries and Ricciardo, but after Austin it became evident as to why Red Bull are not considering him as a serious replacement for Perez. The spin that he had in turn 1 cost him a lot of position, and he lost his cool when he exited the pit lane behind Lawson, even though he was explained to that both of them are on a different tactics. This is something that Tsunoda has recognised as a flaw, and there is still a lot to learn for 2025 if he wants to be part of Red Bull's senior team. But what goes heavily in his favour is that Honda is pushing for a promotion much more than before. When talking about it, the president of Honda, Koji Watanabe, said that they didn't give up on Tsunoda just because they've signed the contract with Aston Martin to be their exclusive partner from 2026 onwards. He said, "Regarding Tsunoda, our goal is for him to work hard and secure a seat at Red Bull Racing. We believe he has the talent. Of course, driver decisions are ultimately up to the team, but as a partner, we've strongly requested that Tsunoda be given the chance to drive and test in a Red Bull car. We want to at least give him the opportunity to showcase his ability. I've also spoken directly with Horner about this, and he hasn't ruled it out. Nothing has been decided yet, but I think we need to proceed properly." Now we are starting to get a clear picture as to what Marko meant when he said that the cards will be reshuffled for 2025 in his infamous interview after Spa, when it was rumoured that Ricciardo would replace Perez for the second seat in Red Bull, as now Colapinto is also fitting into the bigger picture of racing bulls. He is a young driver eager to prove himself and eager to put the team in the midfield in the fierce battle they have right now with Haas in P6. Obviously, with Sainz and Albon in Williams from next year, they would be a contender for one of these seats too. So the youngsters would have to show off massive results in 2025 if they want to be considered as top tier drivers for the future of this sport. With all this in mind, do you think that Colapinto fits in the big picture of Red Bull? And more importantly, do you think he'll replace Lawson or Tsunoda in the Faenza-based squad? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're interested in Mercedes' latest requirement to the FIA regarding Red Bull's height altering device, make sure to check out the video that's on your screen right now.